And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 145. I'm your host, Blaine Pudvey. I'm joined by my co-host, Treg Wilson.
Hello.
Matt Smith.
Good evening.
And we are joined now by a special guest, the voice of the Montreal Canadiens on TSN, Bryan Mudryk. Welcome to the show.
Great to be welcomed. Glad the Wi-Fi is working and we could pull this off. So awesome to join you guys for, I believe, episode 145. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We needed a calculator to count that high. We ran out of fingers and toes. So, yes, not much to talk about. I mean, it's not like there's a Leafs-Habs playoff series coming up, first time since I was 3. Yeah, no big deal.
It's awesome. It's pretty exciting. I'm pumped up too. I mean, I know obviously this is a Habs podcast, but to know that a Canadian team will be in the Final Four for me, I think that's pretty special. It'll be awesome.
Well, you got that age-old rivalry in the East with Montreal and Toronto, and then you got the old Smythe Division war out west with Winnipeg and Edmonton. So, no shortage of great hockey to watch.
For me, I grew up in northern Alberta during the 80s, and you guys talked 79 was the last time that the Leafs and Habs met, and I was 1. So it's just great, and I'm pumped to watch. It's been interesting because the American playoffs have been on, and we're not even wrapped up the regular season up here in Canada, and COVID, whatever. But regardless, positive news on the horizon. The Habs announcing they're going to have fans in the building possibly for the playoffs, up to 2,500 people. So we're making progress. That's really great news, and playoff hockey. I can't wait to watch.
Oh yeah, so this is why I want the Canadiens and the Leafs to go the distance so that fans can actually be in the building, because a Leaf Habs series, it's just not right without some people in the stands.
And it was, the Bell Center, I say it all the time. It's the best office in the NHL. There's no better feeling than walking into that building. You get through the media elevators. Danny Gallivan says hello to you. He's got his, beautiful picture. You walk in, you see all the banners and retired jerseys, and you drink it in every time. And it's just been bizarre not having fans at all. So I'm excited, you try to pump up your energy and whatever, but you know what, we, even as the broadcasters, and we feed off of the fans for sure. Good game, bad game, booing, doesn't matter. And the players, it was funny. I think I don't know if it was Shea Weber made the request, but at some point the music got louder because they wanted it cranked up in the building louder. So the players, were more into it, and why not, right? So you're the captain, you can do that.
Well, who's going to say no to Shea Weber?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Brendan Gallagher, maybe, if in front of the net.
Yeah. Because he's quick. He can duck under him.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Is there a difference in the atmosphere, Bryan, with no fans there? Like, is there a huge difference?
Big time, especially in Montreal, right? Like, it's the Bell Center is like this awesome cathedral, and I'll never forget walking over this season. It was so Montreal had the curfew as well. So Mike Johnson and I were walking over for the home opener. And I can't even describe, and I don't want to describe it because I never hope it happens again. It was just crickets. It's just, you walk over, usually there's atmosphere and people, excitement and, people having a few beers before and all ramped up, ready to go. And then it was just nothing. And then, after the game, we walked out of the building. There's not even a car to be seen. And it's not the same. And I can't wait for it to be as normal as we can. And hopefully, a full capacity home opener next season, later this year.
Now, before we get into the NHL playoffs, you got the opportunity to go down to Texas and actually announce Team Canada winning gold, and you had fans in the stands. What was that like?
So cool. I mean, to see kids, waiting, wanting pucks flipped to them over the glass, and to have obviously, pro USA crowd, which was great. And just seeing families come to a hockey game and, having a few beers. And there was one instance we were set up. So it was the Dallas Stars. It was right next to the practice facility at Comerica Center. So we were in Frisco, which is about 20 minutes north of downtown Dallas. And so the way our broadcast perch, it was great. Like we're kind of up at the, I guess you'd call it the 100 level, but there was fans that had bought tickets that were kind of right in front of us. And I remember for the Americans, Pastajoff scored a goal. And as he was coming around, like I couldn't quite see the number, and the fans jumped up and woo. And normally I'd be like, that kind of like annoy me because I couldn't see who scored right. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, it's great. Like, it's cool. Like I was so happy. And just to hear people booing and cheering. And even for Canada, Russia, I think the building held 3,500. I would have guessed there's about 2,100 people in the building. It was awesome. It just felt nice to see families enjoying hockey like we're supposed to.
Is that Canada-Russia rivalry just as intense even at that age level?
Oh, I'm sure it is at 3 years old. I have no doubt. Like, and they, in that tournament in particular, they have not met for a gold medal. Don't quote me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's been over a decade since they met for a gold medal. And it was so cool because they were both led by underage stars. So Matvey Michkov was the young kid who led the tournament in goal scoring. And he's not draft eligible till 2023. Same with Connor Bedard, who was Canada's little phenom star out of the WHL in Regina. He was amazing. Had a hat trick in the semifinal, scored a huge goal, the backhand beauty in the gold medal game, and the confidence on that kid. He tried the lacrosse move. Yeah. In the semifinal, and he was mad he didn't score. Like, that's how good these kids are now. Michkov made one. He actually scored one against Germany in the tournament. So it was a great rivalry. There was so much star power on both sides. If you follow the draft, as obviously I do and we do at TSN, it was a great tournament, and Canada's stars really showed up for sure the entire tournament.
How was that experience for the GMs, the scouts, and everything that were able to be in attendance? I was able to watch quite a few games during the tournament. I saw that you were able to interview the Seattle Kraken GM, etc. How was the atmosphere for them?
You know what? I think they're like the rest of us. Like Ron Francis was thrilled. He's like, it's so cool to be in a rink. And obviously some of their pro scouts stayed in Canada because of the quarantine and whatnot. But even him, he said he had 7 or 8 staff, right? It's an exciting, year for them with the expansion draft coming up and their first ever chance to draft NHL players. And they were thrilled. And a lot of the scouts and just the chatter that was down there, everyone was thrilled. The coolest moment for me, so the Canada played in Plano. It was like this little like community center style rink. I mean, maybe because there was like a wall on one side, we're broadcasting on the other side. It was intimate. It was cool. I liked it. Like you couldn't do the high flip to clear the zone because you hit the ceiling.
That's right. And it happened a few times for the tournament. Yeah.
So I kind of called it like it was like the patrons at Augusta. So like GMs, scouts, an hour before puck drop of the opener for Canada, Sweden, they were all in their seats. There's only about 100 seats, and everyone Steve Yzerman was like, he could have passed me a beer if he had one. He didn't, but I brought my own to this podcast, by the way.
Perfect.
But it was just so surreal to see everyone was there. They were just as excited as the players and as we were to finally call some hockey with some people there. And it was kind of cool to hear, some cheering. Now, obviously, it was loud at Comerica Center. I mean, the scouts were going to get up and start cheering, but there was atmosphere, even with or whatever it was. So it was great. And I think they felt normal and they were excited to feel normal because, everyone's sick of Zoom calls and not being able to be at a rink and the grind. Like, think about those guys. They're going to small rinks across North America, USHL, across to Canada and the CHL, right? And a lot of those leagues didn't play. Like the Dub played, the OHL didn't even get going. So the USHL, a lot of the scouts, I think, stayed in the States and checked out kind of their playoffs as well going on in the United States. So for everyone, it's the same, right? Everyone was pretty thrilled to feel a bit normal and watch some hockey.
Who stood out for you at the tournament? Like besides Bedard and, because we know they stood out, but who were some underlying, especially like players that stood out for you?
Well, instantly. So Michkov, Bedard, they are 23 draft eligible. Like, you got to remember that Bedard's 15 years old. It's hard to you have to remember he's still a young guy, right? I love Mason McTavish's game. He's heavy. He's a thick kid. He has a better beard than all of us.
That's true. That's very true.
I don't know.
I don't remember the last time a kid had a beard at the U18s. So that was awesome. I mean, he had a letter on his chest when Shane Wright had to sit out for precautionary reasons. It wasn't COVID related, but he sat out a few games. He wore the C, great amount of pride. He started his season in Switzerland. His dad was a pro, I think played in 5 Spangler Cups, Dale for Canada as well. One of the cool moments was when Chase Stillman scored in the semifinal, make it 2-1. He was mobbed on the bench. He was a fan favorite in the room. He hit everything in sight. Logan Stankoven, you guys wore number 11. Who wears number 11 and is the little ball of fire? Well, Brendan Gallen, that kind of player for Team Canada. Brent Clark, the young guy, he's from the Ottawa area, and he was a season ticket holder. His family with the Sens. I think the Sens would love to get their hands on him. Big defenseman, mobile, offensive, just drives in on the play. You have to bring up to Shane Wright, who's the captain as an underager as well. He's not draft eligible till 2022. He stood out there. I mean, lots of players. I mean, Brendan Othman, we saw on the top line a lot. He was great. Dylan Gunther, who Bob McKenzie had number 2 on his list, tied with Simon Edvinsson. Edvinsson's that big mobile defenseman for Sweden, left shot, 6'4", 205 pounds. And Craig Button talked about it. Like, as the temperature got more and more, Edvinsson got better and better. Like when it mattered more, he seemed to pick up his game. So those guys come to mind for sure. But for me, I'm really curious to see where Mason McTavish goes in the first round. He won't wait long to have his name called.
That's a kid I wouldn't mind seeing slide down to the Canadiens, to be honest.
Depending on where they're at in the draft.
There's some kid
31st.
that slid down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So you never know. Like, that's why the draft is, for me, it takes a village to raise these kids, right? And it's so neat to see like how they develop. You watch them at a couple of U18s or a few things, and then the next thing you you see where they're drafted and then how they progress and whatnot. Like, even for Cole Caulfield, when in Sweden, they in 2019, the last time that tournament was played, he tied Alexander Ovechkin for the single goal scoring record in a tournament with 14. Caulfield dominated that tournament, him and Jack Hughes and the United States national team development program. And they had a wicked team that just didn't get it done that year. So it's exciting to see where the chips fall and where these kids get drafted. But I'm excited to see, obviously, Caden Gooley was the first round pick last year, defenseman. I'm curious to see where the chips fall for the Habs this year.
Oh,
You got something there, Trey?
no. I was
Okay.
waiting for you to segue into the next segment.
Oh, sorry. It's late. This old sailor, working out the kinks. So we can switch over to the Canadiens playoffs. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, playing the Leafs. It's Thursday is going to be rolling around real soon. I wanted to get your take on how they look through the year. You were announcing the games. You got to watch these in person. The difference between what they look like at the start of the year when they were rested versus what they looked like near the end.
I just think if there was a way to wrap it up quickly, I just found they were inconsistent. If there's one word to just sort of put a bow on the whole season, they just were inconsistent. They had that road trip out west, 10 points, I think, in their 6 games, I believe it was, and came out red hot. I mean, what a start for Toffoli. Anderson fit right in. I mean, you couldn't have picked 2 better acquisitions for Marc Bergevin. And then I think in this Canadian division, like you just, and I get it. It's coaching, it's learning, it's strategy, it's getting the whiteboard out and figuring it out. But these teams just played each other so much. They just figured each other out. I mean, kudos for the Habs. They shut down Draisaitl, McDavid for most of the season until the game in Edmonton where McDavid caught fire. And you're not going to stop that. He's too good. McDavid's just on another planet, right? But they started to figure out each other in both ways. And if an analyst or one of my color guys would have said, well, figure it out. Like that's, then find a way. I think that inconsistency probably cost Claude Julien his job. And that's sort of how I saw it. They obviously have the horses and the pieces, and then some injuries, but listen, every team had them. You can't fall on that. I think Jake Allen The Habs, again, they paid the top 2 most expensive goalies in the game, but that's why you do it, because otherwise I don't know if the Habs are in the playoffs without Jake Allen. So without rambling on much more, I think being more consistent in a lot of ways. But hey, they found the playoffs, and what we learned about them in the bubble last time around is that maybe this is a team that is playoff built. We'll find out very shortly.
Did you find? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, man. I was just gonna say, did you find the condensed games after the COVID outbreak really slowed them down? Like really, like the 4 games a week. It's a 2-part question, really, and do you think that hurt Ducharme and his coaching along the way?
I think, and he was asked a lot, that it's a system in the way the Habs play. Like it's a high paced skating energy game. And I don't care who you are you're playing 4 games a week. It's so hard. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely tough. I think the one thing, and maybe it has been talked about, but I just think about how life has been, so for us, for example, like there's no after, go to the bar and have a glass of wine after the game. You don't see people, you get your temperature checks, you're tested for COVID, you go to the rink, you leave the rink, there's nothing going on. Like everything, listen, don't get me wrong. When you put on the headset and you call it, it's the best thing in the world. But you know what, a lot of it was tough. Like it wasn't the same like it usually is. And I think it really weighed on the players. Listen, yeah, they're athletes and they're paid really well, but they're human beings. And I'm telling you, like those guys, like, you know what, it's hotel, it's practice, it's hotel, it's practice, it's repeat. And then you go see your family and you can't really go and do anything with your family because of COVID stuff. Right. Like, so I think it was just a grind. I think everyone is just every single person, and I'm not making excuses, or that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just saying, like, they're humans, they're human beings, and it's hard. Like it's like just to go on the road trips where you get the camaraderie and the bonding. You go to a nice steakhouse for the players and you get to know each other, or the rookie meal, and getting to know guys. Like it wasn't the same, right? Like it just wasn't. It's not an excuse, but it's like, again, let's all remember, like there's a human element to this, and there's a family element behind the scenes that we don't know about to this too. And it was a tough year, I think, for a lot of people. And yeah, I know they're paid a lot, but yeah, I think that was a big part of it.
Well, it seems the fact that they've got this week off, that they've got some practice time, and the fact that it's the playoffs that are coming up, they seem to be recharged. Do you get that same feeling?
I think the big thing, and I believe I forget who said it in the media stuff today for the Habs, is like Shea Weber's going to be a different player, rested, ready to go. It sounds like he's all systems go for game 1 Thursday. When's the last time you saw Brendan Gallagher, Carey Price, and Laval for a conditioning?
That was really weird to see.
Yeah.
But you know what? But a lot of the guys in Laval said that was awesome. It felt so good to have that kind of experience to pick the brains of 2 of the best in your organization. And it was a big morale boost, I think, for them.
100%.
Black Aces are going to come up as well, right? A lot of names that are your viewers and fans would know on your podcast are going to come up and join the team. Brendan Gallagher is going to have a spark. You kidding me? You don't think he's going to be revved up for Thursday and ready to go? And Carey Price, listen, to me in this series, the Leafs on every single Corsi statistic out there should win the series. However, if Carey Price is the Carey Price bubble goalie, and we saw what he's like when he's rested, and Shea Weber becomes Mountain Man and is angry in front of that net again, and Brendan Gallagher does his thing, and remember too, the one thing I'm interested in though is in watching these line combinations so far. And I'll ask you guys this because you'll know, who are the best 2 centers in the bubble in that win versus Pittsburgh, the Penguins?
Suzuki and Kotkaniemi.
Yeah, and obviously Suzuki's a big part of it. But wonder, and listen, I shouldn't say I don't know, but
well, say it this way: they were the most noticeable.
Absolutely.
Danault played well, and Danault played those really tough minutes against, you're going up against Crosby and or Malkin, depending on what the matchup is. In the Philly series, he was up against Couturier or Giroux or whoever else there. But my take from that was Suzuki in his play, Kotkaniemi in his, and then obviously Drouin, who unfortunately we're likely not going to see for the playoffs.
So exactly, and where I'm going with that is like, if you look at the line rushes, like, there's Kotkaniemi and Caulfield are not even in the comp, but it's just what I'm seeing. Yeah. But I'd be shocked. Like, why don't you just roll with the kids? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a coach. It's above my pay grade, and that's why I'm just here growing a bad beard and drinking wine and offer the. So. Right. But I mean, that's, as someone who loves hockey and likes to speculate like you guys do, I'm very curious to see what game one, what that lineup's going to look like.
You make a great point, because that is really the talk of social media right now, that the lineups come out and it was, why is player X in the lineup? Why is someone like, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, of course, and you don't want to either. But a lot of the talk right now was John Merrill. John Merrill, he was brought over in the Vegas draft. He looked decent for Detroit. He's come over to Montreal, and he hasn't really been the standout that I think some people thought he was going to be. And he took Romanov's spot. And obviously Romanov's a fan favorite. He's a guy that's going to hit you through the boards. He brings a lot of energy. Another one of those rookie guys that likely should have a spot. And a lot of people are obviously talking about Kotkaniemi and the energy that he brought. And perhaps that they can unlock some of that same potential and some of that same energy out of someone like Caulfield. And you can continue to name these young players. But would you take a guy like Corey Perry out? Which stall are you going to get when it comes to the playoffs? The Lehkonen, Byron, Evans line, one of the best lines down the stretch. So where do you start plugging these guys in? You've got Deneau coming back. You've got Gallagher coming back.
I'll play a little devil's advocate here. Merle was a huge factor in Vegas' run to the Cup.
That's true.
When he played.
That's true.
So I mean, I've never coached any higher than midget. So
we all know the playoffs is a different animal. It really is.
I can understand Kotkaniemi and Romanov. I can understand Merle getting into the lineup based on what he did in the past in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I can understand Stahl. I think the big battle was between Evans and Kotkaniemi. I think Stahl was in regardless. I think it was either Evans or Kotkaniemi getting in, and Evans just outplayed Kotkaniemi.
Especially down the stretch.
Stahl didn't outplay anyone, but he did score more goals than Kotkaniemi in the last 21 games. Kotkaniemi had 0. So do I want all their kids in? Yes. Yes, I do. I want them. I'd rather live and die with the young guys that are going to be with the team in the future than the free agents that probably won't be here at the end of the season. But I understand the thinking process that Ducharme's going through. He's going
with Caulfield. I just don't understand it.
Caulfield should be there. He should be sitting on the OV circle, waiting for that pass and putting it in the top.
Yeah. This is great. You guys should be on the Habs panel. This is perfect.
We're available.
Yeah. Put a word in for us, Brian.
Well, I'm going to have to school you guys. It's Romanov.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Just for a guy that get in trouble for that kind of stuff.
Coming from the pro here.
But no, listen, and I have a lot of respect for people like for Dominic Ducharme. I'll sit here and I'll say he's earned his right. So I'm going to just sit back like you guys. I can't wait. I'm going to pour one of these. I'm going to sit on the couch, and he's earned his right. He's the coach. He gets, that's why you're hired and you're fired. You got to make those decisions. So for game one, hey, he's the coach. The good news, they have depth. They got the guys. They have the horses. They can decide. They can tweak. But I'm going to side with the coach, because he's the guy. He's paid to do that. So we'll find out game one what happens.
Trig's just used to booing Ducharme. He used to do it here in Halifax, throwing popcorn on him, just yelling and screaming. So he's just trying to follow through.
I've showed displeasure this season with the coaching. Okay. A little bit. But he's in a pressure cooker, and he didn't get the time that most coaches get to put a system in place. So I'll give him that. I still think Bouchard is the guy to go to. Anyway, different tale of the tape.
picks. That has to be for your 146 podcast. Save
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll save that for 150. We'll put that right down the road and save it for 150. But I do believe you're going to see one, maybe two of those guys in the lineup in game 2, regardless of a win or a loss. I think you're going to see probably Caulfield within game 2.
And we don't know yet. Hey, and that's why I'm just hanging out. I'm just chilling. I'm going to wait to see what game 1 looks like with the roster, because we're speculating, and that's not fair.
That's right. That's right.
Gotta let their coaching staff do their thing. That's why they're paid the big bucks. I respect the people that are smarter than me, and that's all of you guys and the coach. So I will just wait and see what's up.
I'm on the same level.
Yeah, we need to put that onto Habs social media. # just chill.
Yeah.
That's the Aaron Rodgers, right? That was him. Now he's chilling. I think he got his own issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we said just chill to the Habs fan base, I think it would break Twitter, just kind of like the Laval website last night when everyone tried to log in to watch that game. So I got another question about who you think in the lineup is going to really bring that playoff fire to the lineup. For me personally, I think it's more like a Josh Anderson type. And he looks like he's ready to engage in a 7-game series right now. I just want to know your opinion on that.
I go to the highest paid forward. I go to 11. It's just not a contest. It's Brendan Gallagher. He is built for, this series. He's built for this moment. He's been out. He's chomping at the bit. He is the Energizer bunny of that team. He was the spark that was missing down the stretch when I mentioned the inconsistency, when we always talked about, even off camera in the intermission, we're like, man, the Habs could use the spark. However, to your point, I thought that Josh Anderson was that guy a lot in a lot of those games. He came out, he had that engine going, the power horse, as Tatar called him, but Gallagher, for me, it's Gallagher. And then we can talk all we want, round and round, but Carey Price. Brendan Gallagher, Carey Price. Gallagher is the heart and soul of that team up front, and Carey Price, he could steal a game, and he might have to. He might have to steal one or two, because we haven't even mentioned, and I don't know, is it sacrilegious to say a Leafs name on this podcast?
Oh, no,
but like,
go right ahead.
Austin Matthews is a very special player. Mitch Marner is a very special player, and then we haven't even talked about John Tavares and Nylander. They have their veterans too that have really seemed to solidified their team as well. And, a guy like Joe Thornton, who they love that guy in that room. Right. So listen, the Leafs, again, I said it, the Leafs are favored. They should win the series, but the Leafs have had their issues in the playoffs. And that's where there's two players to me. It's Carey Price and Brendan Gallagher.
So worst comes to worst, if the Canadiens just start flopping in this series, they just need to take the pregame skate wearing Boston jerseys, and it should just change everything up.
Well, or whatever, playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So how much do you think that the all these predictions, everybody's put Leafs and that's it? It's been a unanimous, it's all on the Leafs. They're the clear favorites in this. How much do you think that's going to feed into that whole underdog mentality for the Canadiens?
Oh, it's big time. Like, and it's, you pick anything you want. Like, there's that, there's the rivalry factor. They haven't faced each other since '79. There's, oh man, it's just inbred. Like, I mean, right? Like, you guys are massive fans. Like, I don't have that, like, right? You just know, like, you don't have to talk about it. Like, it's there. So, that I just think for me, and I'm just, I'm a broken record, but I think it's, if Weber's healthy, if the defense is mean in front of Price, if Price is back to how he was in the bubble, before, the Habs could easily take them the distance, if not win it, and I'm not just saying that. I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. I know what my job is and whatever, but I truly believe that. But if Price isn't sharp, and if they don't come to play and have that intensity and that drive, I mean, the Leafs could take it quick too, right? Like, there's a couple X factors in this thing for me, so we'll see. And what else I'm excited to see? You got two young coaches, and even for Sheldon Keefe, this is his time, right? Like, we just did the Jack Adams voting for Coach of the Year, And, I'm sure Keefe's gotten some play there and has done a great job, give him full credit. But this is where you really make your money, win a round in the playoffs, beat the Montreal. And same for Dominic Ducharme. So I'm excited to see two young coaches go head to head and see how they operate.
Do you think Dominic's, I don't know how you can answer, I don't know if you can, but do you think Dominic's job's on the line with this playoffs? Or do you think he's pretty safe going into the next season?
I don't even like to debate that stuff. I think your job's always on the line. If I season, maybe mine is, right? Like it always is. Like, you got to perform. It's a performance-based business. Some of the best ever were fired at one point, right? Like, it just is what it is. But you guys know the heat's always on in Montreal. It's just never, like, what if somehow, some way they didn't make the playoffs? They did. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he knows that. I mean, that's what he signed up for. I remember when he got the job, he said, I didn't take the paved road. I took a lot of back roads, the hard road, the gravel roads to get to where I am. And good for him. Hey, listen, that's what we all want. I paid my dues to get to where I am. I'm sure in your guys' professions, it's all the same. You have to earn your stripes. You got to work hard and you got to get a shot. So I'm excited for Dominic Ducharme. I can't wait to see how him and Sheldon go head to head in the series.
Now on the Leafs, the pressure is on them to win. We were talking about pressure in Montreal, but truly the pressure is in Toronto. They haven't won a series in almost 18 years. And they've been building, and they're this so-called, cup contending dynasty, if you follow the hockey news at all. So if they don't somehow win this series that they're supposed to win, do you think heads are going to roll over there?
I only follow tsn.ca, guys. Come on. Like, or whatever, Pierre LeBrun writes. I'm kidding.
That's right.
Greg Button's watching this right now. He's like, yes.
No, of course. Like, I mean, absolutely. This is like, that again, but the Canadian markets, and especially Toronto, and especially Montreal, there's no better place in the world when you're winning, and there's no worse when you're losing. Like, the heat will always be on. We could be talking, I hope in 100 years from now, we're in our rocking chairs and I can't even speak clearly. And we're talking, it's the same. It will never change. The heat's always on. It's Toronto. They have a superstar lineup. They have arguably the best goal scorer in the game. And they got Batman and Robin and Marner and in Matthews, right? I mean, the one question mark they might have, and if you look at any Stanley Cup champion over the last number of years, you need an absolutely, solid goaltender or two. So if there's one, Jack Campbell was, what a story, right? Like, what a great story. If you know his story or read up on that guy, he's, just sounds like he's just beloved and he seems like a great guy. And who doesn't want to root for people like that, right? But Freddie Anderson, right? A lot of question marks on that. I mean, not that Montreal doesn't have their own with Carey Price's health. But yeah, I mean, the heat's on both markets. Isn't this why it's fun? Like, the heat's on behind me. Like, it's on. I'm feeling it here. So it's awesome. That's why we're talking about this. That's why fans are excited. We haven't seen this in 79. Like this is awesome. And my colleagues and people I respect a lot always say the same thing. You can view it as pressure, or you can view it as an outstanding opportunity.
Speaking of colleagues, does Mike Johnson look excited watching the game as he sounds on TV? It sounds like when you listen, it sounds like he's so into the game that is that how he is? Like, is he that?
I am so spoiled to work. I work with between him and Dave Poole, and they make me better all the time. They're awesome. They're passionate. I think the one thing that they deserve credit for that maybe people do or do not know is like how much work they put into it, and how much prep, and how seriously they take it, and how much they love it. And they don't just show up and throw down the lineup and they're into it. Like, it's awesome. And we have fun. I feel like these are two of my buddies and we get to talk about hockey. And the two things, with both of them, they're different, but I always, usually every game, I'll come away having learned something from them. Just even if it's a little thing, or even if it's between periods. Or what I miss with them is, having a glass of wine or a beer after the game, and just getting to talk about their careers, or this or that, or their opinion on that, or what they think of that play, or would they have done that, or did they like that, did they like that lineup, or how coach did this to that. So yeah, for me, I'm a kid. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Way better than our day jobs.
Yeah, really.
That's true.
Dealing with sailors.
Well, but listen, to their credit, I will say this, like as good, they're good because they work really hard. It doesn't happen just like, and that's the thing I hope your listeners understand, like there's, to be really good at any of that stuff, like it's a lot of prep work, and you have to really grind, and I think it's noticeable, when you don't. That's just my opinion. Like I can tell, but there's a lot of work that goes into it, and they have a lot of pride in what they do.
I think I just love, I'm a huge fan of Mike Johnson, like you and Mike Johnson when you do, and I say it also, and I just love the way he breaks down a play, and or he'll sit there and say, oh, he shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Or it gives a sense of realism. It's not like it's just two guys, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to say anything bad. We don't want to say anything good. He just says, oh, Romanov should have pinched in at this time and not that time. Or
Romanov.
He's our Don Cherry. He massacres all the names.
Murdoch.
No one can pronounce my name right, and I can't pronounce anyone else's name right. So
Trey Wilson. Easy. It's not that hard.
Yeah. You're close.
Yeah.
It's like Greg with a T.
I don't have the I could not say Truro, and I called the curling or a hockey thing there one time years ago, Truro, and I feel bad. I'm so sorry if you're from Truro.
No one's from Truro. No,
I know.
It doesn't matter.
Example of how bad I'm at that.
Yeah. Truro's the dark hole of Nova Scotia. We don't talk about Truro.
Took us a long time to get Treg to be able to say things like Lehkonen and Kotkaniemi, and he's practiced. And
Lehkonen, I could say. It was Kotkaniemi that I kept messing. I still mess it up. But.
You know what drives me crazy is that I called Jesperi Kotkaniemi at 2 under-18s, and yet still, like, there's people online and that will go unnamed that think that I say it just terribly. I'm like, well, I was calling his name before you knew who he was.
It's true. No. That's very true. It's true, though.
Have you ever actually walked up to him and said hi, and this is how you say your name? No, you haven't. So,
yeah, that's pretty much what happens.
But I have walked up to Romanov and got a very uncomfortable picture with him.
It was uncomfortable.
That's very true. He was sitting very close. Him and Ylonen were sitting really close to where we were. Yeah.
Romanov was getting pizza, and I went, hey, can I get a picture? And he's just like, why is this guy talking to me?
You should have said I'm a huge pizza fan.
What?
Yeah.
You could have had a pizza and it looks good. And then, I don't know, you could have made something up on the fly.
Well, I wasn't that witty at the time.
We were pretty drunk.
I don't think he knew a lick of English either. And yeah, this was in Dallas when he got drafted. We had a few beers, so
yeah.
He seems like a kid. You know what? He's the you can't watch obviously the warm-ups, but like even at Brassard, he's the first guy on the ice. He's out there. He probably plays 100 minutes a game. I think I joked one time on the air about that, because like if you count all he did all day, it's 100 minutes. Like he loves it. He just loves it. I love watching his passion for hockey. It's awesome.
He was more passionate for his Pizza Hut at that time, but Treg was getting in the way.
He's young. We don't have privilege yet. He's young. He'll skate it off. He'll be fine.
That was the same day that Bergevin ran away from me at the bar there.
That's true.
At the Ritz.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, Wow.
We were invited over there by Guy Lapointe. That's actually a pretty good story.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
We were in uniform.
Tune in. I will tune in for all of this.
Guy Lapointe was a gentleman. He's a fantastic guy.
Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
Everything I remember about that night was really good.
Yeah. We tell you, but we don't remember most of it. Neither does Guy.
Now, back to this hockey stuff. Now we're gonna leave the stories behind. We'll leave that for off air, so nobody can charge us for anything that may still have, the statute of limitations is still not passed yet for Dallas. Matt, you had something else. I know you texted me here with you had a question, didn't you?
So I'm just going to talk about playoff performers. Guy like Corey Perry, he really came out last year with Dallas, scored some really big goals, and I think he really turned some heads this year for the Canadiens. He was a guy that came in late. He turned heads. He was a guy that a lot of people didn't think that they thought he was going to be a taxi squad guy, and he chose the Canadiens, and some of the fan base didn't know what to think of it. A lot of other fan bases around the league said, "Oh, look at Montreal just going and picking some veteran guy out that didn't want to play, and look how late he is signing and all this stuff." The way I saw it, Corey Perry could have signed with any team he wanted, and he chose the Canadiens. So my question is, like, what do you think about Perry going into this playoff? What kind of energy do you think he can bring?
I think he's a massive X factor. I think you said all the right things, Matt. If you look at his performance versus Tampa in the Cup final, he was the X factor. He's a big reason why the series went as far as it did. If you listen to him closely in his media availabilities all season long, he's like, I know I can still play. I want to come here and do well. He agitates. He's good at it. He's in front of the net. He's mixing up with goalies. He knows what he's doing, right? He's exactly what the Montreal Canadiens need in the playoffs. And he had a great regular season. Let's be honest. He might have been the best pound for pound, dollar for dollar contract in the NHL this season. And you need that. Doesn't mean Corey Perry's going to, play, 20 minutes a night. It just means like, that's a guy when maybe you're down 2-1 or it's 1-1 or you're down even 3-1. He's a guy that might go out there and get in someone's kitchen or a few kitchens. He might renovate a kitchen. Like, that's the guy that can do it. So, that, like, they don't do that stuff by accident, right? Like, obviously there's a lot of conversations behind the scenes. Mark Bergevin's talking. I mean, Stahl comes in. They brought in a lot of Stanley Cup winners, right? Here we are. That's another reason, and I'm rambling, but that's a big reason why I'm very excited for the season and the series, because both teams have done the same, right? You have the Wayne Simmons type coming in, and the Leafs have brought in some Cup champions as well. Joe Thornton's looking for his first. They bring in some grittier guys, and the Habs did the same. Joel Edmondson, who we haven't mentioned yet. Stanley Cup pedigree as well. Toffoli's won a Cup. Right? Jake Allen's won a Cup, albeit in the same role he is behind Carey Price. So there's a lot of Cup guys, that were brought in with that experience. So Corey Perry's won everything, right? Yes. And a chance to win a Stanley Cup with an original six iconic franchise for number 25 with the Habs all time, right? Like, that would be pretty special. So no, I'm with you. I'm excited to see how there's so many storylines within the series. I can't wait to see them all unfold.
I can't wait to watch Gallagher, then Anderson and Perry and Lehkonen, just rolling these guys out line after line after line, knowing that they're just going to get under everybody's skin. I think it's going to really make this series a lot of fun.
Anderson's already getting under the Leafs skin by saying they're a good team, and I can't wait to play against them. Leafs fans are already going crazy.
They're already up in arms.
Well, Burlington kid, right? So. Yeah. Right. I'm sure his family's loving this. I mean, and that's just it. Like, these guys all also have a lot of pride where they're from. And again, like, that's just another storyline. Like, who's going to stay disciplined? I mean, I wouldn't want to see that Leafs power play too many times. I know they had their issues at times. So did I mean, all teams did, but like, you get a hot power play in a quick series, it could be over pretty fast. So much as, you want to agitate and you want to get in those dirty areas, you want to stay out of the box. I mean, that's that's, I know it's Captain Obvious. I think in this series, it could make a big difference.
They just have to quit putting the puck over the net or over the glass. That's all. And then they'll be fine.
They should go
dangerous play.
Dallas in Plano. It was
that are too many men penalties. Like, it's just things that kill it just kills them. It does. And it's always the penalties that, and I say it every time on Twitter, it's always the penalties that those kind of penalties. Those are the ones you get scored on. It's not the fact that, you might have pinched a little and interfered with somebody or made a hook to make a play or something. It's always the ones that, puck over the ice or puck over the glass or too many men, one of those. And I'm really hoping we don't see any of those.
Well, I heard a rumor.
But I just jinxed it. I know I just jinxed it.
But I heard a rumor that the Canadiens hired the TSN camera from the World Juniors to help.
I'll take it. I will take it.
I hope I'm getting a cut of that. Let me know.
Yeah. and all his brothers and sisters. Just put them everywhere. Yeah, and if Tornegay wants to stand somewhere and catch pucks, I'll take that too.
Yeah.
Do you think they're ever going to solve the goalie interference? Here's my question for you, Bryan. Do you think they're ever going to solve that issue?
In what regard? In
what it actually is?
Consistency
on calling it.
That's above my pay grade. I mean, being an official, and especially as the playoffs ramp up, so I'll give you an example, like the Chiasson where he bumped Carey Price. I called that game. Yep. And it didn't look malicious. I think even Chiasson reached out to Price right away. I think Price even commented publicly he didn't blame him. It wasn't I think they're doing their best, and for me to comment on that stuff, I think it's just above my pay grade. It's hard. It's a hard job, right? And they're trying with video replay. Coaches have the challenge. So again, you hope. All I'll say is you hope in the playoffs in a really tight game, it doesn't come down to some call that's so close one way or the other.
I think they're afraid to go back to the old days where as soon as your skate touched the blue crease, it was called. I think the issue they're having is finding the middle ground. Because a goalie comes out of his crease to, he's setting up for the save. He's trying to make the save. Is he, and I get what you're saying. I hate when it's against my team. I love it when it goes the other way. But it is, I don't know. I say let the referees on the ice call it. I think all these instant replays shouldn't go to Toronto. They should just go to the refs on the ice. They look at the iPads and make the call.
I'll leave it at this. I'll say one more thing. So one of the double IHF rules, Gord Miller talks about it all the time, but if you even skate through the crease as a player,
they blow it down.
It's just crease violation blown down.
Yep.
I mean,
I don't think we want to get to that at the NHL level.
No, I know. I'm not.
No. I'm not saying you are, but I think it's finding that happy medium.
Yeah, and so my answer, if it was easy, it'd be solved. It's just not hard. It's humans. It's people trying to do the right thing. So again, I just hope for a really entertaining series.
So to go on with the series, we're gonna have a pretty big event coming up with the expansion draft. We've also got a lot of Canadians that are going to be free agents. How much of this series or the playoffs in general is going to be kind of a show off for these guys to get signed to contracts and possibly a good viewing opportunity for Ron Francis to possibly pick one of these guys?
Yeah, I think it's all of it. I mean, scouting, it's a funny thing, right? You can't just scout on one series or one playoff. But listen, if Phil Deneau scores a hat trick every game, and
so you look at I use Cap Friendly for everything, and you look up and down the lineup, and you got Deneau, you got Tatar, Kotkaniemi needs a contract. It's Lehkonen, Armia, etc. You can look at most of their lineup. Corey Perry might come back. You never know. These are all guys you look up and down the lineup, and then there's obviously, we always use the tool on there, and there's the easy contracts that you can try to get rid of, but you got to look and you look at you're building another franchise.
Well, that's why Dominic Ducharme is paid to coach, and that's why Marc Bergevin is paid to do his thing. And it's not, again, if it was an easy job, we'd all have it. It's not.
Go ahead. Keep going.
No, he'll have to figure it out. And I'm sure those conversations are ongoing. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say if one of those players goes off and has a crazy great playoff, could that sway a GM one way or the other? Absolutely, it could. Could also sway Ron Francis. Absolutely. So So yeah, I mean, but I don't think it's fair to put all the weight on one series or one playoffs. But yeah, I think you could, like anything in life, you can certainly help your stock.
Okay. Quick question to add on to that. Vegas is exempt. What is your thought on that? They've already got a pretty deep team.
You know, I mean, that again, I think
as a fan
of the game, yeah, I mean, and this is new to everybody too, even to the fans. Like, and I think even Vegas caught a lot. I mean, put your hand up if you thought they'd make the Cup final.
Exactly.
Right. Like, so it was pretty bizarre. I think, you know, I wonder how much for me, I think the most, you know, interesting trying job, and you talk about pressure, is Ron Francis's job right now. Like, he's got so many wheels in play, right? You're trying to look to sign players. You're trying to look to the draft, who you're going to pick up. And then you look around the NHL. And the one thing, though, he did say to me in that interview, when we talked to him in Texas, I said, what do you look for? Like, what do you look for in players? And he's like, you know what? You know, hardworking, integrity, will they fit the mold of what we're trying to do? So, and I think Vegas really captured that. I think they did a great job. So, yeah, it'll be more intriguing this year for the draft because of the expansion and hopefully because, you know, COVID is behind us. Well, more behind us in September, October, when the season starts. So, you know, it's nice. How about this? It's nice to be excited for a lot of things instead of like.
That's true.
Yeah.
And hopefully at some point we're all going to be able to see each other again as well.
Well, and just to see fans at the building, like, honestly, I can't wait.
Game
Now,
6.
something off the ice, but still with the Canadiens. Today, Jonathan Drouin was named the Clancy Trophy nominee for the Canadiens, and I don't think too many, with everything that's been going on around him in public, we're not going to get into why he's taken a leave or anything, but I think people tend to forget just how much he does around that city. This award, I think, is kind of the team's way of saying thank you because of everything he's done with the Chum organization, raising, I think it was $5 or $10 million in the last few years, you know, pledging his own money. Do you see this as kind of a way for the team to say thank you to him, or you know, like a please stay kind of thing, or is this just something he definitely earned outright?
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't speak to a lot of that stuff, but I can just speak to saying every time I'm in the room, such a nice guy, positive guy, always has time, great to chat with, always says thank you, always seems to have a smile on his face. So whatever he earns, he deserves it. So well deserved, and I wish him nothing but the best.
So he was the same in Halifax too. Anytime you seen him on the street or talked to him, he was always, you know, hello, thank you, Mr. Mrs., you know, like very polite gentleman. And I wish Drouin nothing but the best. I'm a big Drouin supporter, as you know, if you ever listen to this show. So I'm hoping that all the best for Jonathan.
No, Matt, you had one more thing?
Just a quick question on, let's go with, I've got so many things going on in my head right now. Which one am I going to ask?
The good one.
The good one.
I can't believe you didn't have wine I'm drinking, and I gave the glass to my mom, and instead of filling it, wandered away. Thanks.
Well, let's answer that question first.
I love it.
Let's answer that question first. What's in the glass?
I think it is a Napa Valley. What is that one? Yeah, that's a Napa Valley. Is that a Rubicon? Yeah. Thank you. You're the best. You want to say hi really quickly? Yeah. Well, you got something on your. Yeah. There you go. Now you're good. This is my mom, Terry. There you go. You can at least like wave.
Hi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Instant YouTube star.
Great. With the job that I have today. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers to her.
So give you time, Matt, to ask the question. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I want to get some of that wine now. My question is to do with Jeff Petrie.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the more consistent players for the Canadiens this year. Marc Bergevin went out, signed him to a contract, probably got him at a very good deal, and they got him early. Going forward, would you say that he is more likely going to take the brunt of these minutes from the other defenders throughout the playoffs, and he's really going to be more of the X factor on the blue line than say the captain would be?
Yeah, I don't. Of course,
and that's not saying anything bad about Weber, of course. Like, a huge Weber fan.
Yeah, but I think this is the time of year. Yeah, I think every single player, to a man, would say, "Bring it on!" Like, this is what we train and play for our whole lives. Let's go. Like 35, 40 minutes. If it goes to overtime, whatever. These guys. I mean, we're at the point now. It's like, absolutely, this is what these guys dream of. So, and Petrie showed it. Right. I mean, I didn't check the final stats on the regular season, but Weber seemed to always be around 23 minutes, and Petrie, if not, was literally the last few games of doing my stats. I think they were a second, but like they were both right there. Right. So big deal. Like, if it means if a couple extra minutes here or there, and Petrie, he can skate, he can defend, he jumps into the play, and everyone thought, like, he's just been, I don't even know how you describe him. Like, I think late bloomer's not even fair, but I mean, since he got to Montreal, it was just like, he just continued this progression of being better and better and more confident. And what a great player in the back end. And yeah, they're going to need him. Absolutely. He's a huge part of the Habs' success. I mean, when I said earlier, Price and Gallagher, those are just two, if
absolutely.
Yeah, two little X factors to me in my mind. But like, of course, I mean, Weber and Petrie, they, could be massive. If Petrie somehow scores a power play goal here, chips in with another one, I mean, wow, right? Like, of course. So, and they got a lot of good horses to defend over on that other side. There's a lot of talent on that Toronto team. So it'll be all hands on deck.
Who was your unsung hero through the year? Who do you think was the player that no one expected to step up and really play well for the Canadiens?
Oh man, that's a good one. Can I go just Cole Caulfield in a small sample size?
You can if you want. Yeah. I don't think anybody thought that he'd score his first two goals would be game winners in overtime, and I don't think anybody saw that coming.
My unsung hero is Joel Edmondson. I'm just curious what yours is.
It's not often I'm at a loss for words. I'd have to think about it, because the Habs media voted for
Jake
Allen, yeah.
So, and you can't fault that pick at all.
Nope.
From just progression and maybe taking a step, you could vote to another Jake and Evans. I just mean, like, he could have lost his spot, and he kept saying, no, I want to be here. I belong here. Nick Suzuki seems to keep taking steps every game. I love Josh Anderson's play and physicality. And then how do you forget Tyler Toffoli? I mean, it's a great question, and I probably have a terrible answer. That was just me rambling, but any
of those could be correct, though.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not sure. But, a lot of guys took some nice positive steps, and, because you can't really call your leading goal scorer an unsung hero. But I mean, I don't think a lot of people expected Toffoli to do what he did. I mean, you could even, Jeff Petrie could be in that conversation. Just a steady offensive, defensive. He produced. He was steady back there, did his thing the whole season long. Jake Allen, without him, maybe they don't make the playoffs. So, yeah, there's a number of them that I thought had really, really cool, nice stories.
That was a very political answer. Thank you.
Politics, that just gets you in trouble. So
I'm just bugging. You're absolutely right. The reason I say Edmondson is I thought he was the most consistent defenseman the whole entire year, and everyone expected him. If you read social media, everyone thought Edmondson was a bad signing. This guy's just gonna, and I thought he stood out. I thought he was a factor in why Petrie was so free flowing when they were together on the line. So that's
my only bad cop to that is, like, I think Petrie, whether it was Kulak, whether it was like I think Petrie's become his own man back there.
Yes.
But no, I'm not listen, I think they got what they signed as advertised. Yep. I think that a very, I won't say even nice surprise, but I just think he just is what he was. And sometimes that's all you want to be. You don't need to, as we say, Dave Poulin says it all the time. If you hit people, hit them. If you score, go score goals. If you stop pucks, do that. What are you good at? Are you a skater? Use your legs. Like, and I think he did what he's advertised to do.
I think a lot of people are just so used to now the more modern offensive two-way defensemen. They want to see guys that are, that don't play their position. They want to see guys that can do the flash, that can put the puck in the net and everything. But for me as a fan, if I see these defensive defensemen or the fourth liners, the guys that smash and bang, those are the guys you want to see score goals every now and then. And you see it on the bench and you see it in the crowd. Those are the guys that are the most excited to score a goal. It's like when Ovechkin scores any goal, but those are the guys that you really, you feel good about. Like Evanston, he stood up for Armia and he fought Tyler Myers this year. Corey Perry's been a goal scorer his whole year. He stood up and fought Chiasson. He's not a 30 goal guy anymore, but Sherratt got a goal this year. But when he scored it, it was a power play goal. And
first ever power play goal. It was late in the game, I think, to the Canucks.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was one of those long games where Montreal had a large lead, and it was like, let's throw Sherratt out there, and he ended up scoring. So, those are the guys that you want to see out there. And you hit the nail right on the head. You can name any of those players to be an unsung hero, 100%. And a quick question. What was your regular season top moments for the Canadiens?
My top moment of the regular season?
Yeah, it could be something that could be a game that you watched or a game that you called.
I'm just gonna go with the first thing that popped in my head because that's all I got at this point. But no, and I'm probably missing a lot of cool things. There was a particular goal that Toffoli scored where he kind of came in one-on-one and out of nowhere shoveled a backhand top corner.
That was on Jordy Ben. I guess.
Yeah. I just remember, because it's not like I just remember the call. I always appreciate, even for me, when I'm surprised in my goal call. like when Kotkaniemi fought last season, and I was like, whoa, cool. But you're there. Yeah. So the Foley backhand goal was cool. It was just not that's a terrible answer, but it was a great, I just remember.
It's memorable. It really is. It's a very memorable thing, and it must be difficult for you sometime, and for any of the commentators out there to sometimes turn off the fan mode and be like, hey, I'm working right now. I have to kind of gather my thoughts and be able to say this to everybody else and not just what I'm thinking on the inside of how this play is developing.
Unless you're Jack Edwards.
The great compliment, I probably should, but I'll admit that. Okay. But the greatest compliment I think I got all year were Oiler fans ripping on me for being a homer. Canadiens. And if anyone of them knew, I grew up in Northern Alberta in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're laying down there, Bryan.
Job properly. So, but I get excited. What and I give a lot of credit to our bosses at TSN. I know we're regional broadcasters, but we try to call it you guys aren't dumb. We're not going to sugarcoat it if the Habs are terrible.
And you shouldn't. It makes it real.
Yeah, and so we always try. But I always get a kick out of people that are oh, you guys are so pro Habs. I'm like, well, we are the Habs in TSN. That's
that's true.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. We put up a lot more Habs stuff. But we always pride ourselves in telling there's great story. If they're playing the Leafs, if they're playing whoever, and there's cool stories on the other side, of course we're gonna tell them, right? That's our job. And if you're a hockey fan, Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid are special players. And if they go off praising McDavid all night, it's probably because he's having a hell of a game.
Yeah. 100 plus points and a 50 some game schedule is going to do that to you.
Just a special player. If you're a Habs diehard fan, but you buy a ticket and you watch McDavid score a fourth at the Bell Center, you got to kind of have a spot. It's just I wish I could Guy Lafleur or Rocket Richard back in the day, right? It's I got to watch Wayne Gretzky in person, as a kid in Alberta, at the Edmonton Coliseum. That's how old I am. But So yeah. And not to sound whatever, but you know what was a nice moment was getting to work, guys. Like to like, there was times where we didn't know, are we going back to work? Is there going to be any hockey? And, we took a lot of pride, especially early on, and we didn't realize it at the time, but we got a lot of notes. And especially when I did the curling bubble, how many people across Canada that, especially seniors or older folks that couldn't get out of their wherever, they couldn't see family, but every night they had the hockey game or the curling or something to watch. So that was nice, even if it was the smallest thing to like make someone's night a bit better, So that'll probably be because
Absolutely.
a lot of people are frontline workers or people that had families suffering from COVID or patients. Like I have the best job in the world. So like, what do I have to complain about?
Yeah.
Right. So it was cool to be able to call a season. It was great.
Absolutely.
Awful though when we're done. Like I wish,
Yeah, well, I can completely agree and attest to what you're saying. For me, we're all military guys. We've all served. We've all been away from our families. And this time is different. Like, Treg and Blaine, they're both married guys. They both have families. I'm a single guy in Ontario, and my entire family's on the East Coast. I haven't seen anybody in my family. I haven't seen a single person since 2019, after my 7-month deployment. So for me, hockey has really been something that I've turned to. And when even when they were playing in the bubble and when it was just going to be a condensed season, it's something that I turned to, and it's helped me get through. It's helped me get through these times. And not be just work home. You have something to come home to look forward to, whether it's watching the Canadiens or watching any team. It's really something that's helped me through this. It's helped me through this time, and these guys as well. I owe you guys a lot. I really do. You guys are not only a military family. You guys really, I think great things to both you guys. And I thank you for, you guys started this podcast. You guys brought me in, and I thank you for that.
Well, here, a toast to you guys for, we miss, I say that we miss our fans, and we hope you're in the building soon. And that Absolutely. Is nothing. I could not be more. Oh, that's the one thing. Like, it's just, you miss the buzz. It's half the fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm moving to Montreal next year, so I hope there's hockey in the building next year, so I can.
And I'm going to take you
I've
to
never
your first
seen
game.
A live game. I've never
I will
seen
take
a live
you to.
Montreal
I will take
game.
you to your first game.
All right, thank you. Not. I've seen live other teams, just not Montreal.
After the game, okay? I'll let you after the game.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, before we end this, I wanted to ask you one thing, not hockey related. Once this pandemic is finally over, what's that one thing that you've been planning on doing for the last couple of years that you're finally going to get through on doing?
We're all going to shave our beards for charity of your choice.
Oh. No, I like mine.
Oh man, that's a great. I mean, everything I say is going to sound so self-serving. One thing that we missed is I used to do a charity golf tournament for cancer, and I lost my brother a couple of years ago. We've had to delay. We were going to do one more tournament in his memory because of COVID. We've had to put it off for 2 years. So I'd love to do that again if we can have one more crack at that. I honestly, I just miss people and traveling, and I don't care if it's a beach or a hockey rink or whatever, just seeing people have fun and smiling. And like, to me, that would be, I got a bit of that in Texas, and that was so cool just to see families being families and kids playing and laughing. And they're supposed to be kids watching hockey. Yep. So I don't even know if I just want people to have their mental health that has been hurting. I want everyone to feel good. I want everyone to have a good time, feel normal again. That'd be my wish. Whatever, right? That'd be pretty cool just to have everyone have something to look forward to again. So let's hope that's coming.
Well said.
Yeah.
So any last thoughts from you guys before we
I just want to thank you for being on the show. It's fantastic when you call games. That's something I look forward to. The way that you can that you can call the games. Everything's clear, it's concise. We love your point of views, and you're more than welcome to come on this program anytime you'd like.
Very kind, man.
We will not even bring Treg in, and you can be our new third anytime.
Why am I the emo guy every week?
Because you're moving.
Yeah,
I
sure.
am.
Yeah.
Moving closer to Matt.
Yeah. Well, thank you again.
Well, it's my pleasure. I mean, I feel like you're thanking me for something I love. So, and I just found out last year they actually pay me. I had no idea. But no, that's really kind. That's the nicest compliment I could get, because I love my job. So thank you.
Very welcome.
So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in, for listening, for following us, all our new listeners, all our regular listeners. I want to thank you all for doing this. And remember, if you are talking about it, so are we.